It is that time of the day again where we are going to open the next frame in our mystery gallery. Yesterday we did number 6, which means that today we are on number 7. Yeah! We're getting so many pieces of art done, and we're learning so much about artists from all around the world. Let's see what we've got today. I immediately noticed that we yet again have a picture with lots of colors in it. Do you see the shapes? Got quite a few squares, rectangles in there. Now the artist here used these shapes to make a picture of something. Can you guess what picture he tried to create using the shapes? This artist, Henri Matisse, he called this painting the snail. Can you see a snail shape in the image? Let's have a little look. I've got a snail right here. If I start in the middle, I can spiral all the way around. And Matisse, Henri Matisse, did the same. Started off in the middle, and then he went spiraling around, using his shapes around, just like the shell of a snail. What do you think of this picture? Do you like it? Is there anything you like most or least? Does it remind you of any of the other artwork we've already opened? For me, it reminds me a little bit of Piet Mondrian and his squares. Except these have been reorganized, moved around to create a picture, an image. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more about Matisse. So Matisse came from France. Let's see if we can find Denmark again first. Yeah, you might have already spotted it. Now we're getting so good at finding it on the map. And not that far from Denmark. I drove there a few summers ago from Denmark. Here, this purple, big, beautiful shape here is France. And that is where Henri, or as they probably would have said it, Henri Matisse was from. To learn a little bit more about Matisse, we are actually going to watch a video with a storybook about him.
Henri's Scissors by Jeanette Winter. Matisse got as close as one can get to heaven with a pair of scissors. Romer Bearden. In a small weaving town in France, a young boy named Henri Emile Benoit Matisse watched his mother paint china. He wanted to paint too. He drew pictures in the sand, and he drew pictures in his school books. When Henri was a young man, he drew pictures in his law books and on contracts, deeds, and wills. Henri was sick in bed with appendicitis one winter. His mother gave him a box of paints, and he painted until he was well. He kept on painting, forgot about law, and left his small town to be an artist in Paris. Henri painted pictures day after day and year after year. He was happy, and his paintings made people happy. But when Matisse was an old man, he fell ill. So ill he couldn't paint. So ill he couldn't sit up. So ill he could only lie in bed and sleep. His paintings floated by in his dreams. Matisse finally opened his eyes, and they were filled with sadness. Now he must remain in bed or use a wheelchair. Would he ever have the energy to paint again? When Matisse was strong enough to travel, he went to the seaside. The sea air might help him get well. Before long, he sat up. A little later, he drew. Then, one day Matisse picked up a pair of scissors and cut out shapes from painted paper. He was drawing with scissors. A pair of scissors is a wonderful instrument. Matisse cut paper all day. My pleasure is cutting things out grows even greater why didn't I think of it earlier? His assistants painted paper for him all day. It seems to me that I am in a second life. Paper cutouts covered his walls. One evening, Matisse lay in bed and drew the faces of his grandchildren on the ceiling with a piece of chalk tied to a long pole. As he fell asleep, they looked down on him and saw his dreams. They saw the shapes that surrounded him in sleep. As time went on, Matisse cut bigger and bigger shapes. They filled his seaside room with color. You see, as I am obliged to remain often in bed, I have made a little garden all around me where I can walk. There are leaves, fruits, a bird. I am deeply contented, happy. Then, one night, Matisse walked out into his paper garden, and the rainbow of shapes cradled the old artist and carried him into the heavens. Are some of the stars we see at night coming to us from Henri's scissors? Perhaps.
And that was the end of the story there about Henri Matisse. He used paper so incredibly much in those years where he wasn't able to go outside. And I liked the way he said that then he will just have to make sure the garden comes to him. I think we are doing a little bit the same at the moment. We can't really go away, we can't really go anywhere else, but we are finding ways, especially through the use of computers, phones and iPads to bring the outside world and our friends and our family to us through the screens. The picture we looked at in the frame number 7 was of a snail. Let's have a little look at these animals quickly, because a snail has a pattern. Of course, it's got the swirl, and Matisse used squares and rectangles to build it up. When we look at the snake over here, what shapes do you see? Yeah, circle round eyes, and on the skin perhaps, are they almost a bit like triangles? Look a bit like leaves, maybe triangles, pointy triangles with circles on them. And the lobster, the red one right beside, you can also find quite a few shapes in. Yeah, rectangles, perhaps some triangles, and then a few little circles on the dots. The turtle looks a bit like squares and rectangles with rounded edges on them. Circles, maybe even, down there at the bottom of the turtle. And this is one of my favorite animals, the last one down in the corner. This is an armadillo. It's so cute. And armadillo has really pointy ears. And then on its shell, we can see beautiful pattern there. With maybe, let me have a little closer look. Squares, rectangles. So one of these here has got, some of them might have 5 sides on them as well. A few pentagons in there. Now comes your art activity, and you can always go back to this page because you'll be choosing one of these animals for your art. Enjoy! So now it's time to make your own artwork inspired by Henri Matisse. And as you can see here also on your screen, if you go to the previous page, we looked a little bit at the snake and the different shapes. You can see the lobster, the turtle, and armadillo. And I would like you to choose one of these and grab some paper and see if you can use shapes to recreate these animals. So what you could do first, if you want to, is first you could take a white piece of paper and a pencil and see if you can draw the animal, get a bit of an idea of what the animal looks like, and then put in some shapes. And then afterwards you could take a piece of colored paper, if you've got some, and cut out shapes. So we're thinking squares, triangles, circles, rectangles, maybe even diamonds, and see if you can stick them on the paper. You might want to rearrange them first and then stick them on the paper and represent the animal of your choice. So choose one of these. If you have colored paper, please use colored paper. If you don't, you can try to use some paint or markers, crayons or pencils again, and see if you can make your very own Matisse style painting, but not of a snail, of one of the other animals there. Yeah? And Sophia is going to go for the challenge and give it a go. This is all her extra artwork at home, and is really enjoying following along with earlier's. And I will also show her example on the next page. Have fun with it. Remember, this is your representation of this animal. And it was really hard to tell that this was a snail before we knew what it was called, because it doesn't have eyes and it doesn't have a mouth, and your animal also does not have to have this. Enjoy! I look forward to seeing all your artwork later up on the Padlet. Bye bye! And this is Emma Sophia's one. She chose an armadillo, and you can see the different shapes that she has used and bright colors. As you can tell, Emma Sophia chose to do her own color palette, and you're very welcome to make your animal in any color that you would like to use, because this is your imagination and your creativity coming out here. Please send me the pictures. If you can go to the Padlet, try to put them up on the Padlet. If the Padlet is not working, please get mom and dad to send them to me on email. Bye bye!